What's up, everyone?
Happy Monday.
Day $1 podcast.
Gotta love a Monday when you're just grabbing new clients while you're starting the podcast.
I was
hey,
like,
bro, would Wednesday work?
Noon, man.
Absolutely, Wednesday will work.
That's right.
My guy, love that guy.
That's right.
Won't disclose who that guy is.
Good
Don't
day.
have his permission.
Good day.
Great day. Good weekend.
Yes, sir.
We worked a lot this weekend. Not a lot, but a lot. Had some good productive stuff go on. Grabbed up a client. Had fun doing an open house with you.
That was fun, man.
It's always nice to go back to the basics and show everybody what's up. Start converting people and just behind. Sometimes, man, you got to go back and prove a system or prove a process and just go, hey, listen, don't over romanticize what you're doing, and don't necessarily forget the fundamentals that got you successful in the first place. So we have a couple cool ideas. We did some open houses this weekend. We have a couple cool ideas we're going to be doing this fall. With happy hour, just cool stuff. Having fun, cool stuff. Cutting loose a little bit on these open houses and shaking it up, but being productive. Last week, and I want to give a little bit of context. Last week, because it kind of dives into this a little bit. It's a different perspective, but it does go into it. We spoke about being coachable and the qualities that are needed and the lack of sensitivities that are needed when being coachable, and different theaters that you're in when you're learning and what you're asking for and what you're expecting and things like that. This week, learn how to learn.
Yeah, man.
Great topic. Yeah. It does. It coincides with being coachable. It's a little bit different because whether it's online or watching videos or reading or having a mentor, if you like to go out and just be a part of something, if you learn better doing that, but learning how to learn and just understanding yourself. And do I need to listen to an audiobook? Do I need to read it?
It sounds simple, man. It sounds like a super simple concept, and a lot of people like learning how to learn. Well, yeah, I know how to learn. I promise you probably don't. Unless you're going about everything from a very strategic, tactical way. I promise you there's a skill set to learning how to learn 100%. Most people don't dive into it.
Yeah. No, you're right. And is that me?
Not me.
I'm a big deal. Hold on a minute, everyone.
There we go.
I'm a big deal.
I'm good.
That was sarcasm. I'm not a big deal. I might be a little unique in the sense of like, no, I'm not unique. Let's not go there. We have a pendulum of like, you're either about school and college or you're an entrepreneur and fuck school, right? No, or it's like, I don't learn like this. I learn like this. I think you got to learn how to be dynamic with how you learn.
That's exactly it.
Because what if it's like, well, I learn by having a mentor and they hold my hand and take me everywhere and teach me. I'm just a visual. I'm a visual. What if that's not available? Or what if the people that are there per se to mentor you are just garbage?
That's
right?
a crutch that a lot of people fall on.
So maybe you need to learn how to read. Maybe you need to watch videos on YouTube. I don't know, but I'm big. Like for me, like I got my degree. I finished school. I do entrepreneur things. Like there's a significant level of success I accomplished through the Marine Corps that required a lot of different ways to learn. And you also had to apply them. So we did a lot of classroom stuff, and you're going over mathematics and just different things for the range or for shoot houses or just how a battlefield, how dynamic that is, and being able to adjust. And there is a lot of doctrine and a lot of reading that has to go on, and you're not getting around it. There are, when you're going through squad leaders course and you're writing op orders, there are 50-page reports you're going to write with a moonbeam, which is a flashlight, guys, in your fucking mouth. Writing it overnight. So you have to be able to apply that. And then like that report, like you got to go out and then execute that the next day. And so, as we start off with this, I don't want people to box themselves in with, I'm visual, I'm audio. No, you don't need to claim anything. You need to understand, like, if the more you can absorb how to learn, the more successful you're going to be, because you're not always going to have those access points to learn maybe the way you want. Just like in the Marine Corps, man, not everything works all the time, right? Like, oh, well, we use scopes. So I don't need to learn how to shoot with iron sights. What the fuck did you just say to me? Until that thing gets bashed against a rock or you get blown up.
Yeah, then what?
And your shit ain't working.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or, we have night vision. You don't need to like see at night and learn how to do that. just look through your night vision. Until I punch you in your face through your night vision because you're being a moron, and then it doesn't work just so I can prove a point to you at night. No, right? Like, and I'm being funny. I'm being extreme. I'm being funny. But the bottom line is, you can't just like in the Marine Corps when we're training for the battlefield, and you can't always rely on technology to save your ass. Yeah. You can't always rely on one way of learning to save your ass and expect it to just work all the time. And you can't be entitled to the sense that to expect a mentor. To be your crutch, to hold your hand and do everything for you. Like, you got to learn how to be resourceful, and you got to learn, hey, and you're going to have your wheelhouse, right? Some people are just visual. I understand that. But you're going to hit a wheelhouse, but you also need to be adequate in other ways of learning in order to absorb. And that's why, for me, finishing school and doing the college thing and applying fundamentals physically, in the Marine Corps, in addition to the academic side that you do prior to even physically doing things, I was forced to have an academic side in addition to what we would call like an entrepreneur side or a physical battlefield side. There's a lot of layers and guys that are at a significant level within the military and leaders just within the infantry. They are extremely smart and extremely proficient, and fighting war is a lot more dynamic and hard than people think. And you have a lot of Ivy League school dudes there. Okay, that just need more excitement, like getting shot at, instead of being in an office arguing with you about why your case sucks and they don't want to be your lawyer. They also have like a craving for adrenaline, but dude, they're Ivy League dudes, right? Like, we talk about some of the mentors, per se, for lack of a better word. A lot of the leadership I had, dude, some of them were mechanical engineers.
Smart dudes.
What?
Yeah.
Imagine that dude, right? A mechanical engineer who just loves adrenaline, who also wants to put his brain power toward killing you.
Yeah, it's deadly, man.
It's Navy Cross. It's Navy Cross deadly. Yeah. It's a badass motherfucker deadly, right? Like, so that's the pedigree I come from. Humble brag, but it's more so to give you context of, we fall in this trap of, you're either college or you're not. You're either entrepreneur or you're not. You're either one extreme or you're the other. And we hear this a lot from your and I perspective with people that want to come onto the team or people we get exposed to. They're like set in their way of, I learned like this. Like, you can't rely on just like one aspect on how to learn and expect to be successful. So with that being said, and giving some context to today, I do want you to keep an open mind on some of the fundamentals we're going to cover. And I want you to at least be open to, hey, maybe that's my wheelhouse. Hey, hitting a fastball right down the middle of the plate. Yeah, man. Everyone wants that pitch. But what if you get a curveball and you already have 2 strikes? Are you not going to be proficient at hitting a curveball? You just going to wait for that fastball right down the middle of the plate? No, you got to be proficient at hitting other pitches, or you're not going to be at a professional level. And what we talk about on this podcast is considering yourself a professional in whatever industry you are, entrepreneur or not, considering yourself a professional. And I'm guessing a professional has got to learn and be proficient at several different aspects than just one. Take that with you while we discuss this. Learn how to learn.
I remember when I was about 25, and I didn't go to college. And one of my things was, right when I turned 18, I knew I wanted to get into personal training, so I knew I didn't need to go to college for that. So I paid my $150 for the course or whatever. Got certified.
You don't need to.
Started training. Right? Could, yeah. But I was like, my parents like, hey, awesome if you go to college, but you're paying for it. But regardless what you do, try to help people. That was my parents' guidelines. Like, whatever you're doing, help people. But if you want to go to college, you're paying for it. I'm like, all right, well, I ain't smart enough to get any scholarships or anything like that. So
now that's exactly what I'm talking about today. Don't limit yourself.
But I knew I didn't want to go to college. I hated school. I hated it. I got B's and C's, a couple A's here and there. School just was not my thing.
Wow.
But it took me until about 25 years old to where I was personal training, and it just wasn't enough for me. I kept hitting these marks in my head of where, okay, now I'll be successful. Not happy. So I'm like, all right, Eli, you got to figure something else out. But up to that point, I had only read or studied or learned about things that I was interested in, or that I thought I could find a direct ROI out of. So about training, about nutrition, I studied the hell out of that stuff. That's what I liked. So I was like, all right, Eli, you got to start studying something else. So I got on, I'm like, podcasts are a thing, right? So I started listening to podcasts, and I knew, I'm like, let me just see what this is. So I started on with Entrepreneur on Fire, and that's guy.
What year was this?
I was 25. So
you're so
8
tip
years
of
ago.
the spear. I'm talking, and you're like back in '89. Podcasts were a thing, right? Like, no,
well, 8 years ago.
You
So they
found
were like kind of just
podcasts
starting
8
out.
years ago. You're such a baller. You're so entrepreneur, so tip of the spear, man.
So Entrepreneur on Fire. He interviewed a different entrepreneur literally 7 days a week. Homeboy is putting out 7 podcasts per week.
Wow.
Without fail. And that's what kicked him off because it was just insane. But that gave me a really good insight from industry to industry and entrepreneur to entrepreneur, how they did it, how they got started. And it was, dude, maybe a month into that where I'm like, fuck, like, there's something here. I don't know why I'm attracted to marketing, but I started listening to marketing podcasts. I don't know what I'm going to sell, but I know I'm going to need to sell something, so I should start learning. So from podcasts, it went to audiobooks to regular books for certain things. But it was like, I remember 25 years old, I'm like, holy shit, I feel like I'm learning how to learn.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, man, this is what it's like to actually be interested in studying and want to do your homework and stuff. Like I felt like I could do anything if I watched a YouTube tutorial on it and understood a little bit of fundamentals. And that was such a life-changing moment for me because then it allowed me to take a step back and be like, what do I want to do? And then I'll just fucking learn about it and apply it and be able to do that.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I mean, fuck, man. 8 years later, still figuring shit out.
I'm still mad that you knew podcast was the thing 8 years ago. I'm still mad about that.
Man,
no, it's great. So you're more of like the audio visual guy.
Dude, everything.
Like as a wheelhouse.
Everything. Like I got to get my hands dirty for sure, but just to start off.
And I think that's an important piece, right? Like, well, to start off, I like this. So for example, you know, like maybe I'm an audio or visual guy when I'm first learning something. Yeah. But once I have a decent grasp, I can then read a book on it.
Yes.
Or have a conversation about it because I've just got a good understanding. So I also think when you're going over how to learn, understanding that even within the same scope, there's different phases to learning, right? Like obviously, like let's take learning how to drive a car.
Yep.
Probably a visual thing. It's really hard to read a book about a clutch.
Yeah.
Right? For those of you listening, they used to make stick shifts. They were badass.
Yep.
Okay. That's probably more sit in that car and just, even though you're going to suck for a little while, just getting the feel and understanding what that means. And then if you go read a book on that or see a video, like, you know what I'm saying? Like some things I think are just
before
easier.
that, you're riding with mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's equivalent to listening to a podcast about someone that's done it, right?
Yeah.
You don't really get to feel
Man,
it.
I set you up for that so good. It's such a good analogy. I got to take full credit for that.
You don't really get to feel it, but you're like, all right, so we're staying on the right side of the road. All right, that light turns this color. This happens. I kind of get it. And then by the time you get behind a wheel or read a book about it or you're studying law, okay, I understand where this kind of gets
Or when
placed.
you understand, like reading something that's like, hey, don't drink and drive. You're like, yeah, I can see how that's a shit show. You don't necessarily have to go do it. I got a couple fundamentals I want to hit on today. So I'm going to back up a little bit and organize some thought here to just, because I think people are already picking up what we're putting down. I think people are already understanding like what we're talking about. But a couple things I want to cover when it comes to like learning how to learn. First and foremost, right, is taking accountability. So when we talk about like you learning how to learn something, understand that whatever you're trying to learn, business, entrepreneurship, a certain, marketing in your industry as an entrepreneur, understand that whatever you're trying to accomplish, it is solely your responsibility to learn that. Just like we spoke about coaching and different stuff, like no one owes you anything. So if you want to excel at something and be productive and you want to learn, a teacher doesn't owe it to you. Your mom and dad don't owe it to you. A fellow business partner owes you nothing. Like you got to take accountability for learning it. And then when you're trying to learn, well, I'm a visual guy. Well, there's no visual on this. No one owes you a visual on it because that's how you learn. If that means you got to read a book or do something else, that's it. If there's no mentors available for you, then maybe you're just not at that level yet. Maybe you don't need one for the initial start. Who knows? But the bottom line is take accountability and be responsible in accomplishing learning how to learn. No one else's fault.
And that ties in with being hungry too, right? Because if the first thing that comes to your mind is, I'm a visual guy and there's not that, or this guy can't teach me, give up right now. You're not hungry enough. You're going to fail. Like,
or just expecting someone to teach you.
Yeah, like the mindset you have to be, like, I don't care what is standing in my way. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure this shit out and start doing things right now, no matter what's out there. Right.
So my next one is understanding fundamentals.
Okay.
So his example is like, what are like core fundamentals in business or in entrepreneurship or sports or fitness or a healthy family? Being consistent, being patient, examples like that. So just because you're starting something new or you want to learn something, like Eli and I we're putting together a couple little different business things for you and I. But let's use a podcast, for example. Just because something's new and you've got to learn it doesn't mean that you shy away from fundamentals that made you successful at other things. Consistent. You and I put out 2 podcasts a week consistently. That's what we wanted to hit. We felt like we have enough material for it. So we're consistent. We understand that just like the successes we've had in real estate or successes we've had in fitness, successes I've had behind a weapon and being proficient at shooting, it required me to be consistent for a long ass time. In addition to that, I also had to be patient in understanding that whatever I want is not going to come right away. You want to be a distinguished shooter. You want to be a high shooter at a scout sniper school. You want to be a high shooter at a designated marksman school. You want whatever it is. It's not going to come overnight. Like you've got to consistently apply yourself for a long time.
Those
same
two,
thing,
man.
They're huge. And here's what I'm getting at. I don't even want to say we understand. People are at least talking about the concept of hustling and like, oh, you got to hustle your whole life. Hey, you're an entrepreneur. You got to hustle your whole life till it pays off. Cool. Yeah. You get that part. Now, within that, when you're learning something new, you don't learn it in the first day. Or you watch a video on Facebook campaigns and your first campaign sucks and you're pissed. You're not applying the same fundamentals that we do in other stuff to now how you learn. You got to consistently approach learning something. So if you're doing Facebook paid campaigns, you're watching video, you're listening to an audiobook on it, you're reading articles, you're reading a vlog or you're watching a vlog or a blog, whatever it is, you should be diving into that consistently. It's not reading one post. It's not watching one video and having one person's perspective on it and then thinking that you can go then apply a paid campaign and it's going to just take off.
Crush, right.
You got to consistently dive into the education side while you're doing your trial and error and applying what you're learning. But along with being consistent, you have to be patient in the fact that, look, your first 50 videos, 100 videos, or campaigns, they just might not go well.
Yep.
What you should be measuring to see if it's worth your time or not is progression. If you're finding ways every time that you're trying it. So if we're talking about Facebook paid campaigns, if every time you're doing a paid campaign, you're getting better at something and there's progression, good. Continue to be patient and consistent behind the work you're putting in. If you've done 100 and you suck and it never gets better, I don't know. I don't know if 100 is the mark. I don't know. But at some point, you got to know when, like, maybe pull the trigger on something. But the biggest thing is we've got really good fundamentals and other stuff. When we talk about building businesses and, fitness is becoming mainstream now. So building businesses and being an entrepreneur and being in fitness. Oh, it's not what do they call it? Like, it's not a destination. It's a lifestyle. It's a journey. It's a lifestyle. Yep. Like, hey, fitness is forever progressive. And yep. I don't think we apply the same ideology to learning.
Nope.
So these are like a lot of the basic things I wanted to make sure that I heard today is, one, be accountable that whatever you're trying to learn is on you. And if someone's not teaching you right, go somewhere else. If a video's not working, watch another one. If that doesn't work, get on some audio. But take accountability for what you're trying to learn and just don't stop until you learn it how you need to learn it, right? That being hungry. And then fundamentals. Consistent and patient with learning. Huge for me.
Hand in hand, dude. Hand in hand and taking action. And that, guys, I can't stress that enough. And this is why I want to stop on this even a little bit longer, because consistency and patience are two of the hardest things to build up and then run them simultaneously together, right? Because in addition to that, there does have to be this level of like hunger and hustle, which adds a layer of impatience on top of everything. And for you and I, we utilize that. Like, I consider myself an impatient person, right? I have ADD. I like things now. Hey, I got this idea. Let's get this rolling. Let's get this rolling. I know, actually, doctor diagnosed, right?
What?
Shut up.
You're a liar. Why didn't you say that when we first started hooking up?
You didn't know that? You knew that.
I think it's like contagious.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
Look how we just got off track just now. I think because we've shared water before, like I've drinking some of your ADD, and now I'm off.
The benefit to that.
So what are we doing on Friday? We going out? What are we doing?
All right, yeah, I don't know.
That was a joke. That was a fucking joke.
So the benefit to, and this is where the whole dichotomy of everything comes together, and that's why it's so hard for people, because you have to kind of have this layer of hustle and I want it now, which keeps you busting ass every single day, but there has to be an underlying understanding that, hey, I have to bust ass every day. I have to go about this like I'm trying to accomplish this tonight, but I also understand it's going to take years and years and years.
I want it now. Why? That's what my brain goes to is when people are like working super hard, but like I want it now. Like I agree, like being hungry and wanting, hey, I want to be successful. I want to be successful. Like that, the now can be to a fault where you become impatient, or
that's where most people are.
You shortcut it, and what you got to then ask yourself is like when you're doing things like that kind of break your system or break fundamental practice. Why? Stop what you're doing. Hey, why? Right?
Dude, that was me from 24 to 29. Dude, I wasted 5 years looking for shortcuts.
Yeah.
Like I knew I wanted this.
Say that again.
I wasted 5 years, half a decade, 5 years looking for shortcuts. Literally, like I knew what it took to build a business, but every little shiny object that I came across of, oh, hey, you can save time by doing this. You can take this shortcut. You can outsource this. Nope. Every single one ended up being a massive failure, and I lost a ton of money trying to grow too big, too fast.
And now you've got some good perspective on like things that actually save you time and things that are gimmick shortcuts that are just trying to sell you something. But again, you know, like you got to go through some of those lessons. Like it's not bad that you did. And I can say that because it was before me.
Right? Yeah. I got all that out of my system.
I'm so happy
I got all that out of my system.
Now I don't have to kill you.
Yeah, cool? I know.
I love that. Say it with a smile,
That's
so I'm
right.
joking. Can you see my smile behind the mic?
I don't think they can.
No,
you can be mouthing whatever you want behind that mic. No one can see.
Evil smile. But just going through some of that, and I think what's so fun about this podcast, and we do have a younger audience, if we can say things to pay it forward so, you know, younger guys don't have to learn what we learned or don't have to go through what we've gone through and can just take a little bit from this to help save them some time by doing it the right way. It's always worth it. It's like being a dad. You know what I mean? And we did knucklehead stuff as kids. So if we can help our kids not, hey, great, but understanding they still are, you know, but if you're going to break fundamentals of being consistent and being patient with stuff and allowing a process to happen, you got to ask yourself why. What I do like about shortcuts are shortcuts that increase development because it's better for you. Let me explain. Excuse me. Audio. Prior to audio, like audio, let's be specific. Prior to audiobooks, how many people read books?
Very few.
It's just hard. Like a lot of people.
So time.
Now, let me be specific. I can read this shit out of them. I'm rare. I'm super smart. But for a lot of people, audiobooks are better. Yeah. Even for me, audiobooks are better. Do you know why? Not because I can't sit down and read, but it's hard to sit down and read, not because I don't know how. Time.
Yeah.
I'm in my car all day. I'm at the gym lifting, you know, like, so if I can listen to a book while I'm driving, there's 20 minutes to the gym right there, 20 minutes home. There's 40 minutes to a book. If I'm at the gym for an hour and a half. Now, am I going to miss a little bit because you're breathing and you're working out? Yeah, I can always rewind it. But there's an hour and a half of book time where I don't have to sit down and open a book and not do anything else. Audiobooks allow you to just compound your ability to learn. So when we talk about shortcuts, hey, there's one thing about gimmicks and people selling you a bunch of bullshit, and then there's shortcuts as in just technology. And just understanding your ability to learn. And now maybe some people can't do audio because they can't hear it. Maybe some people need the gym for their music because they're just letting loose. I get it. But I do like shortcuts of just having some self-awareness and knowing how you learn to maximize that time. And I love music. I can't remember the last time I listened to music in my car. I think maybe once a month because I'm trying to maximize that time of an audiobook or a podcast. I'm trying to maximize that so much. But, dude, I've gotten through so many more books. And podcasts, if you could count those as books, it'd be even more, and really gain a lot of perspective on content while I'm driving from client to client, while I'm driving from work to home, home to work, at the gym, to the gym, from the gym. Dude, you and I have a significant amount of time to put behind that if audiobooks exist.
Well, dude,
I love that.
Just living in the time that we're in, like, you know, man, an entrepreneur in the 60s, 70s, 80s, they would look at us now and they're like, man, if you
fuck
guys,
those guys up in entrepreneurship.
Oh my God.
I go, hey, check this out, Google, bitch.
But they're looking, dude, do you know how many people are out there calling themselves entrepreneurs right now that aren't getting information whenever they can from whoever they can? Like every great entrepreneur that's out there, business owner, there's interview after interview after interview of them telling everything that they did to get where they're at and how they're currently doing it. And there are people that are just ignoring.
Do you think that's genetic? Not genetic. Do you think that's born? Let me give you some context before I answer that. I'm at the gym. Been going to the same gym for a while. Great folks, man. And most of them are slightly older than me, right? So some of the moms that work out there, they drop their kids off at same school my daughter goes to. I drop her off, and then I end up seeing them at the gym. And some of them have kids that are like just older than Chloe, and then they've got high schoolers as well. Yep. So these parents are like late 30s, early 40s. So they're in that like hormone phase with their daughters or whatever.
Yeah.
But dude, I pick their brain.
Yeah.
A lot. Like probably every other time I see them. Like if there's a conversation and, hey, how's life? How's the family? Hey, how's that one thing going? Oh, wait till you hear this.
Yeah.
This happened. How was that? Because I got a daughter and she's 9 and I'm terrified. Right? I'm being funny. No, I'm terrified. That's but
it's changing.
It's like I'm hearing stuff because, hey, these parents are dealing with high school and junior high in real time. My daughter's not that far off of going to junior high and then having to like deal with the issues. And are they going to be slightly different when she gets there in 2 years? Maybe. But just hearing that from them, it already starts like making my brain tick on how I can prepare for it, or man, how would I react to that? And the more thought process I put behind it, no, I'm not entirely prepared, but if it happens, I'm somewhat prepared to have a reaction. And at least because I've put thought process behind it, I don't have a knee-jerk reaction. I have an adequate reaction, or maybe I take some time to think based off of what happened, but there's a process to it. So my question for you, right, as you were bringing that up, it sparked my thought. When people aren't hungry enough to be resourceful and take responsibility for their learning ability and just resourcing all they can, I feel like I don't stop doing that.
Here's the difference. You understand that you are in control of your life, and you've taken control of your life, which means, hey, I'm going to steer this ship whichever way I can, which means I want a fucking map. I want to know people who have been there, and I'm going to do the best that I can to navigate life, right? More people than not.
Yeah.
Most of the population jumps in the fucking river on their little lazy boy tube or whatever that thing's called, just lazy river thing, and they just go. And that's why people get stressed and they're freaking out all the time, because they're not in control. They're on this thing that head toward a fucking waterfall and they can't control it. You have the understanding that you're in control of your life, which means you seek information and you try and steer the ship.
Well, I have control of like decisions I make, but I also understand like I can only influence so much, right? But the more prepared I am, like for example, I don't control my daughter. Yeah. But the more prepared I am from myself, from hearing other parents talk about it that are going through stuff, you know, with teenagers, the more prepared I am, the better I can influence whatever situation I don't control pops up. I can influence it the best that I can to either make sure to mitigate it, make sure it doesn't happen again, or maybe prevent it altogether. I don't know, but I do, man. So I wonder sometimes if it's like a characteristic trait. Like some people are outgoing, some people are introverts, some people are whatever. Is it like, hey, some people seek guidance and have conversations and just love learning from others, and some people don't? I don't know.
Personally, I think it's wherever your journey in life has led you, at some point, that's something that you can discover or not. And I think it's more learned or not. The other aspect to that is you really care about your performance and the people around you. And you care about how you are as a father. You care about how you are as a leader. You want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can about that. Again, more people than not, they just don't care. There's
I just want
that accountability on themselves.
I just want to die on my own sword.
Yeah.
Period, man. Like I'm cool with wins and losses, right?
Same.
But if I lose or whatnot, like, hey, cool. You know, if people want to point a finger or, like Monday morning quarterbacks. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do.
I explained this. You got a good memory. See, you're not ADD. You got a good memory.
I use it to my advantage.
You do.
I do.
Like they talk about the Bronco game the next day. Like, they should have done this.
Yeah.
Well, no shit. Mm-hmm. Oh, he shouldn't have thrown the ball?
Yep.
Easy to say after it got intercepted and ran back for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Exactly.
Right? Or, they shouldn't have picked up Joe Flacco. Well, now that we're sitting 0-4, yeah, it's kind of a almost accurate statement, except for you have no idea what goes behind that. But my thing is, those guys are going to die on their own sword. Do you think these guys that are in the league care about what you think at home Monday morning quarterbacking them? No, because they understand, all they can do is the best they can to influence whatever play that they're on, and things don't always go their way, and there's a lot of life lessons in sports. And for me, being a business owner, being a father, if I were to not be here tomorrow, right? If this ship I'm in control of, let's say I just drove it right off a fucking cliff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure hey, that dude died on his own sword, man. He did the best he could with what he had, and he took control and just didn't back down and approached it. And for me, the fear I have, it's also somewhat bothersome. I shouldn't say bothersome. People don't bother me, but I'm a Care Bear. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. He is.
Hear me? I appreciate you backing me. I think sometimes the most vulnerable state people get in is when they get motivated.
Oh, God, let's talk about that.
They get motivated, and there's a lot of marketing and sales and gimmicks around emotional purchases. And a lot of people get into that sheep mentality of they're super motivated and they want to make a change. So cool, I'll do what everyone else is doing, or I'll do what this program says, or I'll do what this famous person on Instagram says, and let's wake up at 4 a.m. Oh, that's how to be productive. Wake up at 4 a.m.
Because someone else does it.
Navy SEALs wake up at 4 a.m. If you do that, you're successful. I'm not going to say that is not one way to approach something and be successful, right? It adds more time to your day. You're up at 4 a.m., no one else is up, so there's no distraction. I understand the ideology to it. Mm-hmm. You could also be tired as fuck and not be productive and drink a bunch of fucking coffee and take a nap at noon. I don't know. I'm being funny. What I'm trying to say, though, is you got to be you. I'm not a 4 a.m. guy. Mm-hmm. And maybe that will surprise a lot of you because, hey, wasn't that your shit? Yeah, that was my shit for a long time. However, no, I have no desire to wake up at 4 a.m. Does that mean I'm less productive? No. Oh, well, you're subtracting hours from your day. No, man, because there's times I'm up till midnight and you're not. You're in bed by 7:30 with your milk, so you can wake up, at 4 a.m. Okay, don't tell me, no, dude, I stay. Oh nope, I'm up till midnight. I sleep from midnight to 4 a.m. Now you're a liar. Stop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you did for a day.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is, hey, be yourself. Understand being consistent. Understand being patient, and also understand it's what you do when you're awake. It's what you're doing with what you got, right? So, for me, cool, I wake up at 6 a.m., not 4 a.m. I'm a 6 a.m. guy. Mm-hmm. That's not astounding, okay? It's consistent. Mm-hmm. Even on the weekends, I'm up and I'm going to the gym. Because if I used to like to sleep in and go to the gym a little bit later, but if I don't go, I won't get it in.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if I go several hours later, my body's clock is off. It's not as good of a workout. But the point is, okay, I'm a 6 a.m. guy. But I'm consistently a 6 a.m. dude, and I've got a routine. And from when I wake up to when I'm going back down for bed, I'd like to argue that I'm a lot more productive than you, or I'm in the upper echelon of productive people that I know. Yeah. So, no, I don't think you should just be waking up at 4 a.m. because someone successful wakes up at 4 a.m. What I want you to understand is hey, look at a lot of successful people and just pay attention to what they do. And take as much as you can from everyone and then make your own recipe for success. Mm-hmm. And your own recipe for success is going to be trying different things.
Yes.
For me, man, I've got certain responsibilities at home and we're with my daughter. Those things are just fixed and I'm not negotiating, which means that it requires me to be up at a certain time and home, not home at a certain time. You and I work late as hell sometimes. Mm-hmm. But there's just things that I do have to accomplish that sometimes it's just not doable. But my point is, I'm not trying to be anyone else. Let's use Jocko for an example. Right. Jocko's awesome. Okay, like that dude wakes up at 4:30 every morning and he's showing you his watch and he's legit, right? And like, no discredit. Mm-hmm. But understanding, like being a leader for long enough, being successful for long enough, dude, I know, like, dude, I don't got to do that to be successful. Mm-hmm. That's one way. And like for what he does, he's successful. So I'm not going to go against it. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that he sheds light on it. What I'm more glad about versus him just showing that he wakes up at 4:30 every morning, what I love is that he consistently shows it. I love that he's showing his consistency. Like, hey, you don't got to be 4:30 like me, but if you are, then you better do it like me, and you better be consistent. But again, not to get too long-winded, I want to make sure I'm hitting this point, but just learning from different leadership or different successful people, just doing some recon of like, you know, successful people or leaders or people that are in your industry that you like, that you maybe you could mimic or that you like. Just pick and pull everything you can from people and then develop your own recipe for what success looks like for you. And whatever that is, be consistent.
Yeah.
And if you're forcing yourself to wake up at 4:30 in the morning because other guys are doing it, just understand like, hey, find a way to be consistent and find a way to maximize the hours you are awake, not forcing yourself to be a 4:30 guy. And you do it for 6 months and you're still dragging your ass because it's just not for you and you're not as productive.
Dude, yeah, you have to look at longevity, guys. And this is something that coming from a personal training world where I was for so long, people get all gung-ho and motivated in the beginning. And it's like you have to pump the brakes because I don't care about anything you can do unless you can do it for years and years and years. If you know that your ass ain't going to be getting up at 4 a.m. for the next foreseeable future and years, just don't even do it. Make sure you're maximizing the time that you are awake, because I promise if we were to follow you around from your 9 to 5 or your 9 to 7 or your 8 to 7, whatever, there's places where you're bleeding and you could be maximizing that time before getting all crazy and waking up at 4, because guess what? You're going to do that a couple days. You're going to stop.
Now, with that being said, if you're an entrepreneur and you own a donut shop, you might be up at 4:30. Because a lot of your business is super early morning people grabbing donuts before work.
Right.
Or, no, Will, that's just not for me. Cool. Maybe a happy hour donut shop is in your in your repertoire.
Yeah.
Maybe you should just get super crazy and have a happy hour donut shop. Shit, that might actually work. If you guys do that, I'll take take 25%. You're welcome. But you get what I'm saying. Like there are some industries or there are some things, you know, where like you just got to be up early.
I would say,
and that's the nature of the beast.
If there's people that you're following or mentors that you follow, virtual or not, or just some people that you respect and you kind of want to dive into what they're doing, I would say start doing what they're doing before acting like they're acting, right? Like start looking at what are they actually doing.
Start doing what they're doing.
Right?
Before you start acting
Dude,
like
there's a lot of people, especially with the Gary V's and shit.
That's some shit talking.
Well, and here's the thing. It's easier to act like that person than it is to do what they're actually doing.
Okay,
right?
So elaborate. Like wearing Air Force Ones, or
it's easier to.
So what do you mean, like acting like they act?
It's easier to like wear a hoodie and talk fast on camera than it is to actually
become Gary V.
Post 30 times a day, engage with fucking everybody that comments on your shit, like
right.
Then to do that stuff over the course of time, like he does.
Yeah,
it's easier to get up one day at 4 o'clock or 4:30 and take a picture of your watch than it is to do that for 20 years without a photo.
Yeah. And
you're crushing your day at 4:30.
Well, and here's the thing. No one gives a fuck.
No one cares. Yeah.
No one cares. So if you're faking the funk, or if you're acting like people are acting before you're actually doing what they're doing, and maybe that's not you, and now you're throwing your whole compass off for your self-identity and your self-respect and actually being productive in business because you're too busy doing things that just aren't you per se, you're only hurting yourself, right? Like you're not hurting anybody else that's like looking at your photos on Instagram, or you're not hurting the guy that you're pretending to be unless he, you know, and I don't want to say like people don't give a fuck. Like people care. Like I care about you, right, honey? I care about you, right? But I also got my own shit going on, and my own family, my own things to like shoulder, and you know, so we have to be, I vent to you, you vent to me, and we got each other's back and all that. But at the same time, you and I also have a responsibility to just manage our load to make sure that you and I can still be adequate. So it's not that like people out there, like I don't want to say Gary Vee doesn't care or a Jocko doesn't. Of course they care to a level, but they definitely don't want you acting like them if that's not your cup of tea. And they'd want you to be fundamentally sound in this one, just like we're talking about, you know. And again, I'm a fan of just being productive, you know, but I think this needs to be talked about because I do see a lot of stuff about people waking up at 4:30 and people doing a lot of different things because it's popular, because somebody popular on Instagram is doing it. I think you should do it. And I kind of talked about this like in fitness before with like sponsored athletes, or people that move from company to company. Hey, before you go signing off on something, go through a process.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to look silly. And if we're talking about moving to a different company, whatever, before you put your stamp on that company and tell everyone how it's an amazing opportunity because you're so worried about making yourself sound better and you want to make sure that this lateral move you're doing to a different company sounds amazing. Look, we all know better. Secondly, you're now putting your stamp on that company. And the more you publicize putting your stamp on something and then have to change your mind, it's okay if you have a change of heart. It's okay if you change your mind. It's okay if something doesn't work. The problem is you publicize it every time you do it, and now you look like a clown, right? Like versus if you're into someone or if they've got a process or a program that you're buying, like don't support it for a while. Go through it and validate your successes off of it.
Yeah.
Before you talk about it. And now when you do talk about it, you've been doing it for a while, you're proven successful through that process, and now you're happy to talk about it because it comes from a good place and it comes from truth. It doesn't come from an emotional response and the need to like show people you're doing something. You know what I mean? Like I remember one time, I can't remember, I was probably drunk. I don't get drunk.
Which is rare. Yeah.
But I can't remember, I was being sarcastic. Like, dude, I just want to like take a picture, like tying my shoe. Cooking mac and cheese, taking a shit, watching TV, changing my underwear. Like, fuck, man. Like, you don't necessarily have to keep, like, just continually posting to show people that you're doing something. And it doesn't go that basic. Some people do. But when you're backing a company or you're going to start some coaching process or you're going to start a diet plan or you're going to start some transformation plan, just do it. It's for you. Don't run your mouth. Just do it. Run an after action report about what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what you gained from doing it, what you lose if you lost anything from doing it. And then when you post it, why don't you come out with an after action report or film a video and go, hey, for the last 90 days, I've been doing this. And this is why I chose to go into this program. This is why I chose to do this approach. And here's kind of like where I was at in life. So I chose this. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. Here's what I liked. Here's what I didn't like. Ultimately, right, like in a culmination of everything, here's my end state. Here's my thoughts. But go through it and don't say a word because the second you're posting it, like, hey, I'm doing this now. Like, well, now there's an expectation. Yeah. Well, what if you want to quit? Not because you're a quitter, but because it's not for you, right? Like,
here's
what if
here's the problem with that.
There's no problem with that.
Requires,
honesty.
No, the problem with that is that requires two things: patience and self-control.
Oh, right.
Because Will, if I wake up at 4 a.m. and no one knows about it, why would I wake up at 4 a.m.? Fuck.
Well, that's a whole different bag of tricks.
People have to know about it if I wake up at 4 a.m.
But I'm that asshole that if I see you do it, I'm watching every day.
Yeah, dude. Because guess what? There's a ton of people that wake up at 4 a.m. and don't say shit. And you know what? Those same people are going to their second job at 6 p.m. and then they're coming home to kiss their kids goodnight who are already in bed so they can go and do it again the next day.
Dude. Moms.
Yes.
Moms.
More of them than not.
Moms
live
are
that
like
way.
the unsung heroes.
Dude, yes.
Up.
Great.
Up in the middle of the night 3 times.
Yeah, dude.
Up super early in the morning.
You know how many single moms are out there that work 2 jobs that just go their entire life
I've heard that somewhere before.
Don't say shit.
Maybe you said that before. I've heard that somewhere.
And they're not posting their fucking watch. No, they're just out there getting to work.
And I'm okay if you post. Like, don't get me wrong. I post. I market myself. I post, and I put things out that I think are valuable. But my whole synopsis when I post is I want people to be thinkers, right? Like I want to challenge thought. I don't want you to do what I do. I don't want you to not do what I do. I want to challenge and spark thought within you. Like if I post something and it's controversial to you or it rubs you the wrong way, I like that. Not from a negative standpoint, but hey, okay, is this post like speaking to you?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Mm-hmm. Why? And then don't be self-conscious about it. Don't just, hey, question it. And dude, when people say they're like waking up at 4:30, and here's my thing. If you start posting it, you can't stop.
Nope.
Don't stop posting it and then go, oh, no, I wasn't doing that to post every day. I was just doing that the first day to show I was what I was. No, come on, man. You're doing like, and here's my thing. I'm not watching you to be a hater. I'm not. Whether you do it or not, I'm indifferent. But now that I've seen it, I'm just curious about human behavior. I don't think you can go as long as you've gone and do the things that I've done in life and just not be super curious. About human nature.
Yeah.
Like if I do this, what do they do?
Yeah.
If I do that, like, or also just being like that people watcher of like, hey, I have no influence here. I watch somebody post something. Interesting. See you tomorrow. I see it the next day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Third day. Nope.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not to be a hater. I am just so utterly curious about human behavior. But what that does tell you is like, look, you get a small window to earn your word, okay? You can lose that. And if you're in sales or business or relationships and you go tooting off the horn, even if it's just for yourself, right? Like, I'm going to lose 60 pounds, okay? And then you don't. And a year later, people see you the same weight. You don't think that affects how they judge you in business? How serious that they take you?
Yeah.
It affects. So even though like, oh, that weight loss goal was just for me and oh, circumstances change. None of it matters. People are still, I don't want to say judging you, but it's a thought. Like how many times are you going to, or like the people that lose the same weight every year.
Yeah.
Dude, this is part of the reason why I don't like diet multi-level marketing companies. Not because I'm pissed off at MLM or the framework to that. No. If something's a great product, like it's a great product, but I also know that the people are the product.
Yeah.
And some of those people that pitch that stuff to me, they're taking the same cleanse twice a year and they're losing the same 40 pounds every year.
That they gained right back.
Why would I take your product? No, the product's great. I understand that the product's solid and it's your lack of ability to stay committed. What I'm getting at is you're the culture of that brand. That's not my culture.
Yeah.
And you keep putting it, and here's the deal. No one is going to throw that comment on your shit. If you're a nice person.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that. That's an asshole thing to say.
Yeah.
Right?
But hopefully you can hear it here.
People are thinking it.
Yeah, they are.
And when you're losing the same 40 pounds every year, but you're trying to sell someone a diet product or pitch your MLM or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or you're committing to something and then you stop doing it. People are watching. And what I'm getting at is just don't take yourself too serious. Have some fun and do it. But understand there's weight behind your words and understand like you should be protecting your thoughts. And if you commit to something, then you should commit to it, whether people are watching or not. If you want people to watch, then that's fine too. But you better be super committed if you're going to put it on a platform. Super committed.
Now, you said a word earlier that I want to touch on before we wrap up, but this is my last kind of point, and I'm glad you brought this up. So there's two things where in life, whenever I feel it or, I'm aware of it, that I've kind of like, I have red flags go off my brain, right? And one of those is when I feel comfortable. Most people would probably like feeling comfort. Oh, hey, work's good. Things are just smooth right now. Everything's just good. I'm in a groove. To me, red flags go off. The second one, and that's what I want to talk about, is when I feel motivated. When I feel motivated and when I feel that surge of motivation, we all know what that feels like, right? That used to be a really good signal for me after making some very poor decisions that were around motivation. Now it's a red flag. So whenever I feel that level of motivation.
What do you mean by that?
That feeling of excitement that
you feel
get,
motivated, so that becomes a red flag now?
It means I need to pay attention to this.
Okay.
Because that's an emotion, right? So it's like, okay, this is an emotional response. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble in the past when you're motivated to do something. Hey, fuck it, let's do it, And it's very easy to make poor decisions based out of motivation. Or
are you so for an example, like when you and I were going over some of our real estate training today, and I'm like I've got a, even though you're more analytical than I am, I've got a super systematic brain and I see 10 steps ahead. And we were talking today about like, hey, yep, all these things are awesome, but hey, we got to get to the drawing board and we got to jot this thing like, yeah, dude, I'm glad you said that because like I was going over this book and hey, this stuff is like more in depth and more calculated and more deliberate than what it appears to be on online.
Right.
Are you talking about that? Like You get motivated, like, oh, fuck it, let's do it. But then you're not taking the right approach. You allow the motivation to become this spur of the moment thing, and then you just put the cart before the horse, and you take a good idea and drive it in the fucking ground.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Just to give some context to the podcast,
that's
right?
exactly what I'm talking about. Doing too much, too fast, making poor decisions. Maybe you had some success, and then you get motivated. Hey, fuck yeah, this is working. Let's go. Yeah. And then just burn it to the ground. Yeah. Or you go to the gym so much in that first month that you could have lost that 100 pounds if you just paced it out. But you wore it all out in that first month.
Or you get super motivated for chest day because the pump feels amazing, so you do chest every day.
Yeah, dude, yes.
That shit'll wreck. You'll wreck shop
now,
doing that.
Here's the difference. Like, for me now, anything that we dive into, anything that goes on our plate is thought out, and then it's just expected that it's going to take some time. Now, the caveat to this, and this comes with experience, is that you're going to do everything that you can today to move that forward. You're patiently impatient. Like, I guess that's the way I like to put it. You understand it's going to take a long time, but you're busting ass every single day to get it put together. And you're not, and it's only through experience. Like, I know I can go to the gym and I can bust ass every single day and I'm going to be okay, but that's because your muscles are calloused and they're used to it, right?
But you still need direction if you want to make progress.
You still need direction.
I can go to the gym right now and work hard every day and not be as good as I should because I just don't have any, what do I feel like working on today? I feel like doing arms. Okay. And then but it's like, well, what's your goal for your arms? And then based off of what your goal is, how much weight, how many sets? Are we doing drop sets? Are we doing supersets? Like, based off of what you want your arms to look like, or what you want your legs to look like. So yes, you can take that motivation of the gym and work super hard every day, but because it's not calculated, you might not get as much of the result that you want.
And motivation is just temporary. Like, motivation is temporary. It's going to subside. So when that motivation goes away, are you still going to enjoy doing what you're doing?
I'll tell you what, go do some time in the Marine Corps Infantry. You come out of that alive and you're going to be motivated about life. Mm-hmm. Even when I have bad days.
Mm-hmm. But
perspective.
But that's not motivation, though. That's something else. That's the next.
Tell me how
that's
I feel,
the next
Eli.
level. That's the like.
Don't tell me how I feel.
That's the obsession of just you're enjoying
saying.
life now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that motivation subsides, guys. Like, you all know the honeymoon phase of whatever you're doing, right? A new relationship, whatever. Eventually, the honeymoon phase is going to go away. That's your motivation subsiding.
It will.
And then you're like, oh shit! All right,
Kate, if you're listening, every day is amazing. every day is a holiday. Every meal's a feast.
Right? Yeah. No shit.
She hates my guts.
But it's true, guys. So that's where, whenever I feel motivated, I just take a little extra time to maximize see if what I'm feeling is real.
Well, you want to maximize that motivation. Like, if that motivation is your rocket that's going to get off the ground, you got to make sure it gets to orbit and you don't crash the rocket. So if you're super motivated about something, maximize that window to make sure it's calculated and there's a direction behind it. My biggest thing, my last point, is there anything else that you want on that? No? You're good? I didn't mean to cut you off there. My biggest thing is when you talked about comfortable. So for me, when I hear the word comfortable, to me it equals ready. Like, if you're comfortable, hey, I'm comfortable with my business and I'm comfortable with my workload. And obviously, we're talking entrepreneurs and business people that want to scale. Mm-hmm. If your whole objective is to be comfortable and, hey, this is all I'm working, and that was cool. I'm not talking to you. I'm not even mad at you. That's great. True to yourself. But for me, for the sake of the podcast and what we try to preach and what we do for ourselves, when I'm comfortable, I'm ready. As in, I'm comfortable with my workload. I'm comfortable with my schedule. I'm comfortable with what's going on around me. I can take more.
I'm ready for more.
I'm ready for more, right? And then the other thing too, right, is being able to convert how you feel. So when I feel comfortable, transitioning that into understanding that I'm ready, and then ready for what? Or if I've got motivation, being calculated with my motivation, but regardless, it all needs to work in a toward direction. Like, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but what I want is I'm like, oh, I'm stressed and my life isn't going how I want it to. That's motivation. It could be.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, I'm bitching and I'm moaning and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So my anger and my frustration needs to have direction.
Yep.
My motivation, oh man, like, this is so motivating. We're gonna build a podcast. Needs to have direction. Hey, I'm comfortable. I'm feeling that. So whether I'm feeling angry, upset, stressed, super motivated, happy, comfortable, all of these need to convert to direction.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. So
and here's the biggest point for that, and I'll let you and then I'm gonna let you finish us off here. motivation is going to kind of come and go. I agree. Being ready is going to kind of come and go because you're going to get that workload a little higher than, hey, I'm not ready for more. This is more than enough. And, the stress of being angry or being upset, that's going to come and go. All of those feelings are going to come and go. What's really hard to allow to come and go that can be detrimental is when your direction comes and goes, okay? That's my piece, and that's why everything for me needs to convert to direction.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I can have a bad day.
Yep.
But I didn't lose direction.
Yep.
Okay, I can have a great day. I'm not losing direction. And I can kind of get comfortable and okay, but not lose direction. That's why I funnel everything there, because these are temporary. You're right. They're going to come and go. I really don't want my direction of what I'm trying to accomplish come and go. Like I gotta be in that path, understanding the good days with the bad, and the comfortables with the nots. Like, but I gotta be falling forward.
You know what that skill set is? And this is probably a whole other podcast, because that is a real skill set, is going from two frames of mind. Problem mode, like Will said, okay, got this going on, this problem, this problem, this problem. Now what? Solution mode. Flip that switch. Okay, I've got these problems. Fuck the problems. Don't talk about the problems anymore. We know what the problems are. Solution, 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 solution. Now taking action on those solutions to take care of those problems. That anxiety you're feeling about those problems goes away like that the second you start writing them down and taking action to get rid of them.
Resolve.
Dude, that's a skill set. All right, problem mode, solution mode. People get stuck in that mindset of just problem mode, problem mode.
There's been days I have called Eli at 9:30 at night and talked to him for an hour and a half about some shit. And I'm just getting it out. But having that self-awareness. And for me, I understand, like, when I talk,
that's your solution mode.
Even though I'm talking, the more I talk, the more I'm processing my thought. And the more I get to some type of resolution of like, okay, got it out of my system, but I've also processed it. Hey, here's how we're going to attack that tomorrow. Here's how we combat
That's
this.
one of your segues to solution mode.
So when we talk about learn how to learn, sometimes you can teach yourself something by having some self-awareness. So if I'm talking for 2 hours, it might sound like a rant, but I'm also processing everything I'm saying. And,
and
is that accurate? Is that not accurate? And and I know that. So I got to get it out. But then I'm putting pen to paper, and I come up extremely quickly with some type of resolve on how we're going to handle that or combat whatever we're doing that week that caused that issue. Okay, plans in play. Here's what we're doing. We're doing quarterly reviews. Here's why, here's how, here's when. And then we start creating that content for it, and we start setting the team up for success. And you know what I mean? Like, so this comes down to just like, it's great to be, and I guess my last point for today is, as much as we've talked about being external, right? And seeking a mentor, seeking a leader, audiobooks, normal hard copy books, YouTube, whatever it is. Hey, great. Don't forget intuition. Don't forget having self-awareness. Don't forget how to identify how you process things. Like, don't shy away from that stuff, and don't be so external that you have no internal. However, you're not going to get to like a good place with your gut feeling, and you're not going to get to a good place with your own intuition if you're not playing the game. If you're not consistently in your craft, you're going to doubt everything you do because you just don't have enough content, like you don't, or context. You just don't have enough. So for me, like there are some things like, well, an hour and a half conversation, like that's a lot. You're right. But the shit I do after that might save us 6 months of time. But with integrity, I use it well, and I try to minimize as much as I need it, but having self-awareness, processing thought, having intuition, like don't be afraid to go internal while learning how to learn, right? And versus like just focusing on books and just doing what other people say. Just don't forget your own intuition. Don't forget being yourself, and don't forget to just process things how you just have to, man. Like I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you are.
But it's super important, because at the end of the day, everything that you learn, you got to figure out how that works for you. Okay. There's fundamentals. Okay. But you got like a baseball swing. Yes. There's a certain fundamental on how a bat should come through a strike zone. Okay. Yeah. But is everyone a little different? And does everyone like wiggle the bat or stand slightly different? Are there a lot of things prior to an actual swing that's different from baseball player to baseball player? 100%. So again, like, have your fundamentals and learn as much as you can and soak it all in, but understand you're trying to figure out how all of this external content you're taking in applies to you. Not learning how to be someone else. I got to be Grant Cardone. Grant does this. I do this. I'm Andy Frisella. I do this. No. you're trying to figure out how those guys, what they're teaching you and what you're soaking in, how does that work for me? Not how can I be Andy Frisella?
Right.
Not how can I be Grant Cardone? No. You got to be your own version of, and you got to take everything in. How does that apply to me? That's my last point for the day.
I like it, man. That's
like
it.
you.
Let's wrap it up.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, guys. We'll see you later this week.
Yes, we will. Friday? Is it Friday?
Yeah.
I think we're doing one Friday, 3 p.m.
Day $1.0.
We're going to get after it.
Out.
What did you say?